Hey, how you doing? Will here. Love to see you. Today, I'm going to talk a bit about something that has been stewing on my head for a while. My slow tumbling brain box, making noises in the ether. I'm going to talk about physical media today. That's something I'm thinking about. It's been lodged in my head. And our relationship with physical media. So I guess the question is what is the direction going forward with physical media? So I guess what I feel I've observed is there's been an arc, back in the day, especially when I was younger, there was a huge focus on physical media. We had CDs, DVDs, VHS tapes, mini CDs, vinyl, records, loads of physical media, right? Video games on discs, video games in cartridges, N64, Sega Mega Drive. That was a lot of my childhood. The Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color. All of these things, physical media, right? But I think that there was really interesting attachment to. And I guess that's something I really feel that's missing in the space we're in right now. I think it really contributes to the speed at which we kind of digest things and the abundance, I guess, that we find ourselves in terms of the media that we're faced with. And I'm not sure that's a good thing. And I guess I see from people younger than me now turning to slower media, turning to physical, concrete media. I mean, myself, me and my wife have been reading books recently. And I've been finding myself more kind of attached to the idea of floating towards physical media again. Something about the finite nature of it is really attractive to me. I guess it comes back to this idea for me of having a focus, I guess. Too many options aren't always the best thing. I write on a paper notepad, right? It's a really interesting arc for me specifically because historically I've been very digitally focused. I've been more abundance, more let's have more options, more creative directions, more things we can do. But then as I've grown older, I've looked for less. I've looked for quantifiable media and tools to create media. And I just think that's a really interesting arc that I kind of want to reflect on a bit today. And I guess maybe if I'm anything to go off of the larger trend of how we're going to interact with media. So I guess I feel that historically it was a huge process. Finding media you liked, there was more of an emotional connection to it. And I think about kind of the incremental acceleration of this process. And I think all the way back to when I used to go to the game store or go to Blockbuster when I was a kid, or I'd go to Game Station, if you guys remember that in the UK, and I'd look through all these games and I'd have to think really carefully, and I'd look at the boxes and stuff, and I'd only have pocket money to maybe buy one, or I'd have to save up my pocket money often to go and buy one if I wanted to buy a game. And I think that there was there was a couple games. For me it was Pokemon Yellow or Pokemon Red or Pokemon Blue. Those are my options, right? And I think there's something more nourishing about the slow nature of that process. And I guess something I've really noticed as we've gone through the physical mediums, right? There's been more of a deliberate cherishing of that for me anyway, because it's given me this experience I can be immersed in. And I guess the arc I feel we've gone through as a culture, as a world now, is there's such an abundance of media in all forms, digital, instant, on the go. And I think when we think about short form content on YouTube, TikTok, etc., I think this is the absolute extreme of this, that because the content's so short and it's really hard to make a real personal connection with it, it doesn't hit as deep as it used to. Maybe this is me being nostalgic. I'd love to hear what you guys think, but there's a certain slowness that I think is required to really soak something in, right? Really bathe in it, in the ideas, the thoughts, the experiences that come from any media, books, films, etc., that really like feels more impactful. I think our emotional circuits and brains are certainly slower than our like logical brains, right? So when I think about like scrolling through a bunch of YouTube shorts, I don't really remember a lot of what's in most of the YouTube shorts I've watched. I don't at all, but I remember a lot more about like a slow movie that I've watched that I really emotionally connect with. And for me, this is what comes back to the inversion of the arc, right? We had all the options in the world, and now having less and less options. And I think a lot of streaming services are doing the whole enshittification thing. And I feel that actually on the arc, I think physical media is actually going to just shoot up in popularity even more. I think it's going to hopefully come back into the culture of things. I think about this room I'm in right now, right? And I got posters on the walls. I got like physical media, and it like makes my environment like feel more me. Like I'm engaging with my own personality a bit more in my space. And historically, I don't really care that much about it, but I guess as I go through my day, I think, how am I expressing who I am a bit more, and like what I'm about, how I'm dressing, how my environment looks, how am I emotionally engaged with the culture that I'm interacting with. And I think physical media is like really coming back to that. I think it's creating a vibe, a lifestyle around who we are and what we stand for and what we believe in. And I think maybe in the world of division that we find ourselves in, that we're looking for something that can ground us. And 1 minute having one extreme and another extreme thrown at you on a platform, like I think it's really exhausting for a lot of people. I certainly feel that, and I think that physical media gives us a chance to be grounded in something concrete and slower with less options, and I actually think that's more nourishing, right? I often think about, as gross an example as this is, if we like eat fast food, right, that doesn't really fill us up. That kind of goes through us really quick and then poops out really easy, right? And then we're still hungry afterwards. I don't know if you've ever felt this, but like I've eaten like a Big Mac at McDonald's historically, and I just still felt hungry. It's like I've eaten a sponge in my stomach. That's almost how it's felt for me. But like when I eat a meal that's like less tasty, maybe immediately less kind of stimulating, but then I actually feel full, I feel kind of steadier and more content. And I think this kind of comes with physical media too, right? When you have like a CD or a record and you play that and you can only hear the songs on the record or CD, you kind of have to like really soak it up on a deeper level, right? Now we can put on anything. And if I'm honest, like I love music, but I haven't really like listened to a lot of music recently because I think I'm so overwhelmed with the like Spotify choices, right? I was reminded of like a band I love, Soundgarden, and my wife put on like a dance cover of it or like an electric cover of it, and she just likes the kind of dance club aspect of it, which is like cool and fine. But I guess it reminded me of like, oh man, I really love Soundgarden. I love when I had the album with Black Hole Sun on it, and that song rocks. And then like I put on Black Hole Sun and listened to it on the drive down to go and see my mother-in-law, and it really kind of hit me emotionally and really reinvigorated kind of a lot of the emotional connections I had with the song. And then it reminded me of another song called Can't Change Me by Chris Cornell, rest in peace. And that song kind of hit me from a different angle than it had before, but I forgot about it entirely because I didn't have this like physical media to engage with, right? Can't Change Me used to be about kind of me stubbornly being younger and being like, women are cool and powerful and all, but like I'm still me and you're not going to change me. And now it hits in a different way where like I really believe that my wife's a beautiful, powerful person, but there's still like a healthy personality separation I feel between us, which I think is like awesome. And like I guess it really hit me emotionally in like a really different way to like revisit that song. But I guess I feel, as I reflect on this, like would I have been like more reminded of that and be able to engage with that sooner if it was in physical media? If I had the CD, the Chris Cornell self-titled album with Can't Change Me on it, and I saw that and I whacked that on and I put that on a CD, player and I listen to the whole album, would that hit differently because I had a whole process of anticipation building up to the actual experience of the music itself? I'm not sure, but it's really making me think about my kind of participation with media, music especially, because like I love music, I love thinking about music, but I like listening to music less, and that's like kind of weird for me. It's probably just because I have different focuses with where I'm at and what I'm doing, but I love music, and I guess I would like to be reminded of why I love it more often, and maybe physical media would help with that. And I feel maybe a lot of other people are on a similar arc. I could be wrong, but that's where I'm going to leave it today. You know, is the future of media physical media? Is the arc going to invert? We'll see. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions in the comments. You've been wonderful. I've been Will. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.